the content that you'll see today on customer relationship management is a preview for our next in-person workshop that we will again talk about at the very end of the webinar, which is going to take place from June 5th to 7th in Nairobi, Kenya. It'll be a 2.5-day workshop on customer relationship management, and we are very, very fortunate to have partnered with Sandy Vasi from currently in Hungary right now, who is going to be facilitating that event. Sandy has been partnering with us for the past, I would guess, 6 to 8 months to really build out our customer relationship management for small business banking modules. He's done several different elements there, one of which you'll see a very short preview today on the CRM aspect, but he's also an expert in sales, some marketing, sales management in banking, and he can give you a little more of his broad background in the on-the-ground institutions that he's worked with. And we're very happy that he will be leading our training in Nairobi in June, which will be that 2.5-day training on customer relationship management for small business banking. So without any further ado, I will hand it over to Sandy to lead us through this webinar. Thank you.
Great, Elizabeth, thank you very much. Everybody, welcome. I appreciate your joining us, and by the introductions, I noticed that there are a lot of good professionals here. So at the end of I don't know, maybe a half an hour, when I kind of quickly walk through this webinar, you will either say, "Oh wow, yeah, I guess this makes sense." You will say, "No, no, 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 we know much better." And in either case, please speak up. As a personal introduction for myself, my background in pure numbers covers about 30 years executive employment on 4 continents and 50 countries. I have a very checkered background, as Elizabeth kind of referred to. I started in packaged goods, or FMCG, for those of us who speak Brit talk, with Procter & Gamble. Went into banking. This was all in North America. Went into banking, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, Royal Bank of Canada. Went back into packaged goods, Nielsen category, international business development. From there, I joined Citibank, and my first big exposure to CRM was as head of CRM for Citibank for the EMEA region, which covered 26 countries: Europe, Middle East, Asia, parts of Africa. Then I went on to build some banks for a regional Central European bank called Raiffeisen. Went back to Canada, got dragged back to Europe by Royal Bank of Scotland, and we all know what happened to that bank. So as they were going bankrupt, I left, and since then I've been using my time and allocating it among different activities, advising different clients, teaching at a couple of universities, and helping companies like the Small Business Banking Network. That is for a personal background and introduction, and let's carry on and let's start talking about CRM, because I think that's why we are here. I'm seeing that there are funny things happening on the screen, but I hope everybody is seeing everything. So let's get into it. What we will cover. Now let me see if this will work. If I can go down a slide, which would be really lovely. Yes, what we will cover. So this is a really kind of high-level review of CRM and CRM for banks in small business banking. So we talk a little bit about definition and components, and then about nailing down the benefits, because every time we want to do something, we have to justify spending money and time on it. So it would be good to review that, the alignments needed internally, and then give everybody a flavor for implementation steps. And then at the end, as it is noted, we'll leave you with some basic diagnostics questions and templates to help you your thinking a little bit further on. So having said that, let's let's get into it. Why CRM for small businesses and for banks? Well, I listed up a few points here. The first one is what I call funny mathematics. I always tell people that, you know, doing CRM, when we look at both the personal and the business holdings of, say, SME owners, is a really bizarre math, because normally in mathematics we say 1 plus 1 equals 2. Well, in this case, when we are doing good CRM targeting small businesses, 1 plus 1 equals 3.2. And where it comes from is, and this is based on a lot of work and experience, that when we get both the personal and the business holdings of SME owners, we tend to get a 60% boost in our profitability in our banks. So 1 plus 1 is 2, plus we add 60% to that, which is another 1.2, so we get 3.2, and that is nothing to laugh at. So that's a very good business reason right off the bat to do CRM and do it right. Now, we also have a lot of relationships, and I don't know how your banks and businesses are, but when I talk to banks around the world, a lot of them are saying, you know, we know we got some relationships, and normally banks focus on the credit needs of SMEs, but there are a lot of other needs that can be exploited. And with a good CRM setup, customer relationship management, taking an overall view of our relationships, we can do that. We also need to make sure that we deliver our offers consistently across all channels. And I know some people are saying, look, you know, I mean, working in developing markets, we just got to get the basics right. But you know what? Developing markets are developing very, very, very fast, and I've seen tremendous change, and we need to be ahead of the curve. So we need to make sure that everything is delivered really consistently, and we cannot afford customers coming in and talking to our phone center and talking to our sales representatives and getting different answers. Now, building on that further, I remember last time I was in Johannesburg, there was a lady, a small medium enterprise entrepreneur, who gave a very moving account of her engagement with one of the banks and how things almost fell apart when her banking advisor was away and she ran into some difficulties with the business. And this is some of the things that we can avoid, again, with the CRM setup, because there should be no business disruption if a bank advisor is away. There should be a seamless relationship and relationship management with all our key customers. The next one is in terms of customers. Think about it. We get maybe a micro enterprise. It grows into a small enterprise. It grows into a medium enterprise. If we cannot grow with the customer, sooner or later we are going to lose them. So this need to grow with the customers, especially in a fast-moving segment like SME, is really, really essential. So, having said that, I hopefully, if anybody has not yet been converted, why we need CRM, I am starting to convert you. So let's kind of take a deep dive and take a look at the CRM essentials and some of the potential implementation issues. And with that one, the first question is, what is CRM? And with CRM, there are all sorts of definitions. There are the definitions of, say, gurus. There are the definitions of marketing people, definitions of IT people, all sorts of different definitions going around. And it's very important to keep in mind what CRM is and is not. What CRM really is actually optimizing all the processes of an organization, or let's talk about of a bank, to maximize the profit per customer, profit per prospect, and at the same time improving service quality and making the life of our staff easier. It will therefore link all the different processes together, it will operationalize them, and it will create an optimal full cycle of managing our interaction with our customers and prospects. It is not a standalone item like a Salesforce automation system or similar. It is not a technology platform. And it is very importantly not simply an automation of existing processes, because the whole idea is that we need to optimize the processes first before we operationalize them. And it is certainly not something that is defined by gurus or management. It needs to be defined from a business perspective. And I always tell everybody that I have a very small brain. I do not believe in complexity. So when gurus give me very, very tall tales about CRM, my eyes cloud over, and I like to keep it close to ground level. So if we then take the idea of CRM as kind of optimizing all our processes in terms of interacting with our potential and current clients, and doing it in such a way that it will make the life of our staff easier and it will improve service quality and at the same time create extra profit for us, then let's take a look at some of the CRM components. Because really, you know, when we look at CRM, it all goes back, and normally I talk about the corner store approach. When back many years ago, and in many markets still, somebody working at a corner store would know their customers and would know their needs, would be able to serve them, would know when somebody is going away on vacation, when the store owner goes away on vacation, they leave instructions for whoever is filling in for them. So there is a lot of good common sense practices that CRM actually tries to recreate. And when we talk about things like institutional memory and full view and 360 view of personal and business stuff and analytical capabilities, this all goes back to where it started, which is a close, intimate understanding of the needs of our customers and prospects. So institutional memory is basically a history of the context, behavior, holdings, all the issues, everything that relate to our customers. The full view means that we actually understand what our clients have with us, what their businesses have with us, what their families have with us, so we can actually look at them in entirety instead of looking at them in silos and maybe considering their deposit accounts or their credit holdings and separating out the business holdings from the personal, etc., etc. When we do a full view, it creates a very rich source of opportunities for us. And let's not forget, every time when we are talking about making extra profit for us, it is because we are serving the needs of our customers better. So there is absolutely nothing wrong in my books about making extra money, making extra profit, if it relies on serving the needs of our customers better. That is what good business setup is all about. Now, identical information at all contact points and scripts for each event just simply means that wherever anybody comes into contact with us, we have the same information. We are not giving them the runaround, and we can also take advantage of these opportunities. So scripts are available, next sales opportunities are available, and proactive and reactive best practices kind of belongs to that cross-sell, upsell, retention, whatever it takes. Analytical capabilities geared to actions, and geared to actions is very, very important. You know, there's analytics. At Procter & Gamble, we used to call it paralysis by analysis when we analyze things to the nth degree. So I always emphasize analytical capabilities, but focused on actions. So we need to analyze things with an eye towards building the business and serving the needs of our customers better. So we do, we plan events, we do what-if planning, we do all those kind of things. And key information at any level means that the essential business information is available, and we have a certain structure to mining that information and giving key people in the organization access to that. So if we take these as the kind of key components of CRM, and really when you think about a corner store owner, that guy is doing all these things. Now, what happened is that over time, a lot of this got lost. Hold on, I'm trying to get here's the next slide. From history to today. So It was very easy when many years ago people actually knew their customers. But what happened is, as businesses developed and as banks are growing bigger, we have more customers, we have more channels, and guess what? If your bank is anything like the banks where I worked, then you do have very high staff turnover, especially at the front line. So a lot of knowledge and understanding of the customers walks out the door every year. My rule of thumb is that normally the banks where I worked, we experienced about 15 to 20% frontline turnover. So imagine within 5 years, all the information I have about my customers, I'm losing unless I do something about it. And that's what the CRM system partly should do. So predictive modeling and database marketing came in. A lot of that was driven by credit risk management that banks needed to do. And then companies realized that, oh, there is good payback in this in business-to-business marketing and sales. So out of this combination evolved CRM. And CRM really what it's trying to do is, again, recreating that early customer intimacy. So we are using technology to make up for complexity and high staff turnover and the plethora of channels and high number of customers. And some people say, well, this could be a very sinister development because guess what? You know, at the end of the day, if I'm modeling my customers and I'm taking advantage of their behavior to build profitability for myself, that's not very nice. But again, I go back, if I do my business, if I do my activities right, then everything is always based on serving the needs of my customers better. So there's absolutely nothing sinister about it, and I truly believe that that is really the right way to go. If I sell more, sales is always a higher level of service. So if I use CRM to drive my sales, then I am actually improving my service quality. Now, how do we go about quantifying the benefits of CRM? Because every time we want to do something, we actually need to get the resources to implement it, and no management in his right mind would actually give us the money and the time to build something unless they say, okay, they can see that they're getting a payback on that. Well, here is the thing. In my experience, in all the markets where I worked, I found that about 2/3 of the overall benefits can be quantified and can be defined, and about 1/3 comes in from so-called non-quantifiable areas. And the 2/3 of the benefits in the banking sector can be quantified as, say, at least 10% over annual sales, normally coming in over the first 3 years from improved cross-selling and improved acquisitions, and then improved retention and an extra 2% of the portfolio retained. Most of the benefits will be realized over the first 3 years. It's a sharp uptake, and then the growth will slow to about half of its initial pace, but it will still carry on. A lot of the work that went into this definition, I actually personally did, and I can tell you now, this was done for Citibank when we were planning CRM implementation across 26 countries. And these countries included developing markets, evolved markets, everywhere from Europe all the way to Asia down to Africa. And over again, we found that these benefits we could quantify. Now, the way we can quantify these benefits is using a simple approach called process mapping. Process mapping is basically taking a look at all our processes as they cut across different functional areas in the organization, looking for breakpoints, and then fixing those breakpoints using a CRM approach. It's important to look at cross-functional passovers because, again, in my experience, in most banks, most functional areas know how to do their job. The marketing guys know how to do marketing, the sales guys know how to do sales, the phone center knows how to handle the customer calls, operations knows how to handle operations. The problem is that when we go between these functional areas and we hand over a customer lead or a prospect lead from one to another, breaks happen. And most of the efficiency loss is actually at the handover points. And those handover points we can then identify, and the benefits of fixing them we can quantify with process planning. Now, on this slide that you see right now, I'm giving an extremely simple example of process planning, and I got some extremely complicated examples that I can bore you with if we meet in Nairobi and walk you through it. But just to explain the whole concept of process planning, because process planning is one of those things that honestly, when I hear process planning, I go, ooh, I really don't like it. It's not something very exciting. But here is what happens. Imagine that a customer comes in and opens a current account. That's step one, right in the middle. And the contact goes from the customer to sales. Now, sales at this point should capture the revenue information of that SME company, pass that revenue information over to marketing, who could then create a credit offer addressing certain needs that the customer may have. And for that credit offer, obviously, the revenue information needs to be available. So the offer goes to the customer responds to the offer, it goes to operation. Operations, well, the things may or may not happen, but certainly after a number of days, and in many banks it can be as high as 30 days, pending files are reviewed, purged, and action is taken on them. And then they may be passed over to sales for follow-up. So this is a very simple process. Now, what is wrong with it? Well, what is wrong with that first of all, in many cases, the forms, the information that is collected by sales is incomplete. So if there is no revenue information, no credit offer is possible. The second thing is, if files are pending up to 30 days, then guess what? Customers would change their minds, they will walk away. Normally after 7 days, they tend to change their mind and they go away. So if we do a process mapping and process planning, then we identify these breakpoints and we say, okay, good, so what do we need to do to fix these points and create a seamless process across the different functions? So that's kind of where it starts. Now, benefits though, even though we do this process planning and everything, benefits are influenced by many different things. How much benefit I will take will depend on my portfolio. Is it big or small? Is it growing or not? The markets. Is the market growing or not? Who am I targeting? Customers or prospects? And the opportunity. And I'll explain needs disconnect versus behavior or profitability in a second. Let's take a look at some of these things, the influencers. Well, obviously, if I have a small but growing customer base, then I focus in on acquisitions. If I have a small, stable customer base, growing balances, then I can look at cross-selling, behavior change, or acquisition, and so on and so on. You can read through this, and I believe the slides will be available, so you can take a look or ask me questions. I don't want to kind of spend too much time going through and get into all the gory details of this. The next one is market dynamics. Again, if it's an emerging growing market versus mature, stable, it will create a difference. Let me cut to point number 4, the opportunity, because this is one where I get a lot of questions when I talk about needs disconnect or behavioral opportunity, because these are big words, needs disconnect and behavioral opportunity. So a needs disconnect means that I may have overlooked certain needs that I can address. A behavioral opportunity means that I have customers, but their activity or usage pattern is not optimal, and I can shift that around. So these are two different approaches that I can take to then quantify the benefits, and these will really influence my benefits. So to go back, before we get into the next area, so we talked a little bit about CRM, the historical background, some of the critical components of CRM, and then defining the benefits, what can be quantified and how it can be quantified based on process mapping, and what are some of the things that will influence these quantifiable benefits. It's also interesting to look at other areas which are what I call hard to quantify benefits. And these hard to quantify benefits can be some very, very creative things. Let me give you one example. Point number one, linking internal information with external variables to drive actions. Let me tell you about a bank. There's a bank in Belgium that built an incredible business. Now, this is not SME specific. They did this with private individuals. They found that when the markets go down, investors react in 3 different ways. Some of them will say, wow, the market is on sale, let's buy some more. Some of them will say, ooh, I don't like it, but I hang in there, and I'm nervous, but I won't do anything. And some of them will say, oh my God, the world is falling apart, let's sell everything I have. So based on these 3 behavioral patterns, this bank, and it's KBC, then actually planned very specific activities targeting their investors with different offers, all linked to how the markets are changing. So they are tracking how the stock markets are behaving, and based on that giving different offers to their customers. And they built an incredible business based on this very simple insight. And my question is always, can we do something like that for our SME customers? What are the external variables that might drive their behavior that we can then address with some offers initiated from the bank? Now, the other points, let's do a quick walkthrough. I mean, we can, if we take a combined view of the different functional areas and processes and how they relate to each other, there are lots of opportunities there. We can implement leading indicator-based sales activity management and sales activity tracking. And to say a few words about leading indicators, you know, there's a big kind of myth out there that to drive sales, we need to give our salespeople profit targets. I don't believe in that. If I give my salespeople profit targets, I'm measuring them on things that already happened in the past and they have no opportunity to change it. Profit comes at the very end of doing everything right. By the time I know whether or not I made profit, it's too late to do anything. If I wish to drive my destiny, if I wish to drive a good business, I want to design my activities and plan my activities so I know that the steps I'm taking will lead to a good result at the end. So I'm using indicators, measuring steps that will lead me to generating profit at the very end, instead of looking at profit at the very end. So I will then look at my objectives, I will break them down, I will roll it back and break it down into this kind of sales funnel type of steps, what every single salesperson should be doing every day and how they should go from step 1 to step 2, and use these leading indicators to actually drive my destiny and build a business. And with a good CRM system, I can then operationalize all of this. Well, point number 4, I save operations time, because if everything is automated, then obviously I'm going to cut errors. Sales session time is also going to be shorter. I'm going to reduce fraud and losses. Product profitability I will improve. I can have faster time to market and improve my skill base, because as I'm doing activities and I have a template to duplicate them, then I can just re-implement it in new situations and keep building very, very, very fast. And I will reduce customer irritation and save on direct marketing costs, because many times we keep talking to the same customers too much and they just don't like it. So I can really kind of finally target how many times I should be talking to whom and manage my life like that. Now, there are some extra opportunities specifically in the SME area, because one of the things I can do if I'm dealing with companies as opposed to private individuals, then I can look at all the partners of these companies, and I can look at the supply chain participants, their customers, their service providers, forward sellers, and I can build offers to target all these people and enlarge my offering and build my base of my individual SME customers into something much bigger. Now, having said all of this, it's great that I can have all these benefits, but you know what? They won't happen by themselves. We need to have a lot of alignments within companies. I always say, look, if I don't believe in building the business, I shouldn't be investing in anything that will build my business. So I need to have a proactive business development focus. I need to believe in using data intelligently. I need to have database marketing and sales process teams. Otherwise, there is nobody to help me build a CRM system. If I don't have a multi-channel approach, then why bother coordinating different channels? And one of the things that's very close to my heart, let me tell you, and I learned this the hard way. As we implement CRM systems and a good CRM setup, many times what we find is that we come up with new bottleneck areas. And I give you an example. We implemented at one of the banks where I worked a pretty good beginner CRM system, and as a result we started getting 60 to 70 qualified warm leads per day coming in. The only problem we had is we did not plan for this. Now it took us about a week to figure out how to handle all these qualified leads, but during that week we lost more than 400 potential customers, and it really killed me. And I learned it the hard way that we need to think about what the different new bottleneck areas can be, think ahead and fix them before they actually develop into a bottleneck. Now, in the process area, if we want to automate processes, those processes need to exist. And the process doesn't exist until it's written down and everybody understands them and everybody follows them. So I always say if we don't have these processes written down, then there's nothing to improve and nothing to optimize. So can we please, before we even think about CRM, start thinking about what our processes are, how they work, and what we can do about them, because that's where it all starts. Now, if we've done all of that stuff, and now we know that, okay, we can get some benefits out of CRM, we have optimized our processes, then the next step is really to kind of operationalize all of this, put it into place, and build an architecture that will support that. And in terms of an IT architecture, there are essentially 4 key components to operationalizing CRM. The first one is a marketing data mart, then a contact management system, which in many cases is called the Salesforce automation system, then marketing planning, and then an integration module. It's normally in this order of priority, although the integration module is a base essential. Now, here's what these things do. A marketing data mart. A data mart is very different from a data warehouse. A data warehouse has a whole lot of information and manages every piece of data for the company, for the bank. A data mart is a custom-designed database that is designed for a purpose. So in this case, it is to drive the business from a marketing sales perspective. It should be able to take in prospect information, my customer information, updated in a variable way. I should be able to pull information from it and use it in a very proactive way. Contact management system is linking all my different customer contact points together and will help my sales force to deal with SMEs, to deal with private individuals, allocate leads, do the follow-up, do all that kind of stuff. Marketing planning is actually direct marketing planning. This is a system piece that allows me to plan activities and plan them in such a way that based on the outcome of one activity, I can automatically do another one, or I can program in things that, I don't know, say based on the birth date of the business owner, I can generate a call or a follow-up or something so that I can build a relationship. And integration module is very important because integration module, or in some cases it's called middleware, is something that is a traffic cop. it handles the flow of information between my CRM components and my operating and other systems. Because trust me on this one, you do not want to mess around with your operating system. So if I wanted to show a kind of map of how the CRM system would develop, it would be like this. In terms of external targets, I'm targeting the business, the private, and the family side of my SMEs. In terms of delivery channels, contact points, this is the internal pieces. I just go right across whatever I have available. And you may have more than this or less than this, but this is. Then I got the CRM drivers that I mentioned, the data mart, the marketing engine, the contact management, Salesforce automation system. Data warehouse is nice to have, not essential for me, for CRM. Operations, finance, risk accounting, all sorts of other systems are there, and I put a middleware in between. Because, again, please, please, please do not try to integrate your CRM pieces straight into your operating system, because that is a very, very high risk proposal. And if you mess anything up, you blow up the business. So far so good. Now I got the map. Now what do I do? This looks like a tall order, because I need a lot of internal skills and talent and people available to implement all of this. But luckily there are solution providers out there. And I try to, again, to keep things simple, and I split solution providers into three main types. The first one, consultants, the second, evaluators, and the third, the true solution providers. Consultants are the people, these are like Sofron or Capgemini and so on, that help us with business review, business casing, and kind of planning everything up front. Evaluators are a new breed, reasonably new breed. They are there to provide a third-party review of true solution providers. Take a look at their systems and help us with that request for proposal evaluations, help us choose the right system integrators, solution providers. And then point number three, the solution providers or system integrators. These are the people who can actually kind of take the technical solution, work with me as I'm doing my business process reengineering, and integrate the different technical components of CRM into one organic piece. Watch out, some of them have their own solutions, some of them will just implement some other people's solutions, and that can always have obviously an impact on the cost, complexity, and so on. So if I got these people helping me, then let's take a look at some of the implementation milestones. How would a CRM implementation work? Well, first of all, I need a high-level business review, and I need to get the support of my management at a kind of, let's say, theoretical level, that they say, yeah, we think it's a good idea if you give us a good business case for it. Then I get a solution provider, evaluate different proposals, and start nailing down the very specifics of my CRM setup. Then I can build a business case. I can go through the benefit definition. I can do my process mapping. I can identify how my processes should be re-engineered, and I can put together an implementation plan. Process review optimization, I finish that one up, and then unfortunately I have to do with a bunch of additional must-dos, and this is I mentioned in a few minutes, such as data cleansing. Many times we forget that we don't really have good, reliable information, so we need to clean it up, and we need to worry about where we will get the information. Then we do the technical implementation and business implementation. And then, again, not to be forgotten, training and internal selling. Many times companies really miss the boat by not allocating enough time for training and not allocating enough time for convincing people internally that this is actually good for them. Then we track the results, we learn, we modify things, and you know, if I wanted to put that all into a time frame, a schedule, then it would be something like this. Total time required 1 to 2 years, assuming that we get the support from management. About half of this is actually the upfront work, the business planning, the business case, the vendor selection, and so on. Then up to 6 months is optimizing all my processes, then the implementation, integration, testing, and then, not to be forgotten, training, Salesforce marketing, and all the other functions. The good news in all of this is that, say 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, this would have been a really, really big undertaking. These days, with hosted solutions and so-called cloud computing, things are much easier. Now, cloud computing does create its own issues because a lot of companies don't like the security questions attached to cloud computing, but it's always a trade-off. With cloud computing, I can cut, up to 80 or 90% of my total cost of the CRM implementation, and I can cut about 50% of the time for a CRM implementation. So I need to think about the trade-offs. Now, before we go any further, and I throw it open for questions, I was asked to talk a little bit about what can go right and what can go wrong with CRM implementation. And I just want to give you some personal anecdotes, how to do it right, how to do it wrong, again from personal experience. How to do it right. My rules are something like this. Number one, let's not overcomplicate. Let's keep it simple. If I'm designing navigation, everything is within 3 clicks. All the information fields are automatically filled up. Information is brought forward. I'm navigating within a security shell. I just really I want one single login. I don't want to make my Salesforce's life more complicated. So I want to keep it simple. I want to go for early successes, the so-called low-hanging fruits. Nothing succeeds like success. If I can show my management that I'm generating extra results, I'm improving service quality, I'm helping the sales force, and at the same time I'm boosting profitability, I will get a lot of support. Next one, keep the providers in check. Unfortunately, there are a lot of kind of gurus and consultants out there who would try to sell us whatever they wish to sell us, and if we don't know our business, they may succeed. So we need to have enough internal knowledge to keep them in check. We need to keep an open mind when we think about benefit definition. Sometimes the benefits are not that obvious. We need to think cross-functional, we need to think cross-channel, we need to think cross-segments to get the most out of CRM. And let's do what is needed instead of what is nice to have. So, for example, many times people say, well, we should have an update of the data mart every day. And my question is, do you really need to update customer profitability every day? No, you don't. You need to update it once a quarter. So save yourself the processing time. Update product holdings every day, but update profitability only once a quarter. So if these are some of the things I keep in mind as I think about CRM and doing it right. Now, some of the things that we can do to really get it wrong is, first of all, we can define CRM what it is not. Many times companies say, oh, I got a call center optimization automation project, and this is really good CRM. No, it is not good CRM. It is not CRM. It is only a component of CRM. Same goes for a Salesforce automation system like a Siebel. It is part of CRM, but not CRM. CRM is much more than that, and CRM starts with rethinking how we manage our processes for the most optimal way. Also, we can overcomplicate things. I remember I got a call once when somebody told me, Sandy, I have 17 ways of identifying my customers. I think I only need 10 of these. Can you help me defining those 10? And I said, no, you don't need 10. You need 3 or 4 at maximum. So can you just please not overcomplicate things? Another thing I noticed, sometimes companies implement CRM, they forget to teach their sales force to use it well. Salesforce will think it's an audit tool that management uses to check up on them, and therefore they will hate it, and therefore it will not work. Unfortunately, it is true. I did work with a Spanish bank that implemented a CRM system, and their sales results dropped 20% as a result because they failed to pitch it right and to deal with the sales force right. So we talked about the training. Well, there's also the issue about over-promising. Believe it or not, 50% of the companies that claim that they have implemented CRM system still have no customer profitability numbers. I ask you, do they really have a CRM system? No, they don't. Somebody over-promised. Next thing, let's not plan for all the things that we don't like to do. Data cleansing. It is a real bad stuff. It is a lot of sweat. I hate to do it, but I have to do it, otherwise it won't work. The next thing is, let us not meddle in the operating systems. If I meddle in them, it's really bad. As I said, we can blow up the system. And I just, interestingly, I just heard a very interesting one from one of my students who implemented the CRM system. This was in Romania. And he said, well, I got big problems because people are still using the old system. And I was totally blown away, because if I implement a CRM system, I turn the old systems off. The new system is the only one you can use. So please don't ever, ever, ever allow dual system usage, okay? Because then it defeats the purpose. Now, I hope it gave everybody some ideas about the things that can go wrong or right. I will stop now, as I've taken up more time than I should have, but I wanted to give you a quick walkthrough of what could be a good 2 or 3 day discussion with a lot more details. So, Elizabeth, would you like to pick it up from here?
Yes, thank you so much, Sandy. We do appreciate that. As you all can probably understand, we have developed a 2.5-day training that will cover these topics. So there's more content than we can fit into the webinar. So with that, thank you very much to Sandy for putting this together today. We really appreciate your time and your expertise. And if we have any additional or lingering questions from the participants, we encourage you to post those in our discussions area of the website. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to speaking with you and working with you all soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.